If it's your kid asking, it's annoying. If it's a billion people across the globe, it's a challenge and responsibility. Farmers feeding the world. It's about agriculture coming together to increase both hunger solutions and food production. Please learn more and give generously.
Congressman Pete Gallego from Texas's 23rd District, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I guess just for starters, can we get a little bit of a personal background on you?
Wow, well, what do you want to know? Let's see. My hometown is Alpine, a small community of about 6,000 people in the mountains of West Texas. So I'm the first person from a non-metropolitan area, I guess, to represent the 23rd District. Having grown up in Alpine, born and raised there, the agriculture industry, frankly, has been pretty central to the core of our local economy, whether it's ranching or in some parts of the district it's farming, pecans or cotton or any one of the number of other crops. So it's an area that I have great love and respect for. I know I'm biased, but I think I represent the most beautiful part of Texas.
Well, you mentioned a wide variety of crops within your district and also serving as a member of the House Agriculture Committee. How does that diversity of agriculture within your own district, what perspective does that allow you to bring to your committee work?
It's a great perspective because I'm able to, I have a broad overview of agriculture and agriculture programs. It's everything from the USDA rural development kind of stuff to the crops to the farming and ranching. I mean, I've had the opportunity to familiarize myself with programs that really run the gamut of the agriculture industry as a whole. And I have the added advantage, frankly, of having been in the legislature in Texas for 22 years. So many of the issues are familiar to me. The details now working with USDA directly make it a little bit easier for me to kind of get ahead of the curve on some things, but yeah, it's been a good experience overall.
And your district sharing a border with the country of Mexico, I mean, does that make things a little bit more interesting when it comes to debates such as country of origin labeling?
This district has more border than any other district. It is, in fact, about 800 miles of border. So. It's also, if you're looking at a map of Texas, this district is nearly 24% of the state.
Wow.
By land. So it's a pretty big area. And the answer is yes. I mean, we have cattle crossings that are very big. The different bridges. There's 5 ports of entry in the district. So, country of origin legislation is always it's always a big deal. It's always somewhat contentious, frankly. There's some people who really like it and some people who really don't. And then there's also the debate about what is it really, what does it mean to originate somewhere? I mean, if the calf is born in Mexico but it's fed and raised in the U.S., is it still a Mexican calf? I mean, some of those interesting those are conversations that are always very interesting around here.
Aside from agriculture, you also serve on the House Armed Services Committee. What are some of the differences that you've noticed between the committee work on those two committees?
I'm very lucky because Armed Services and Ag are, in theory at least, the two committees that have the reputation for being the least partisan, where people work together to accomplish. And so I fully expected to get here and join in that tradition because, frankly, when you're raised out in a rural area, I mean, I will tell you that my grandfather didn't talk to me about Democrats and Republicans. My grandfather talked to me about right and wrong and working hard. And my parents the same. And so it has been somewhat of a disappointment to me, frankly, in this particular legislative session where we haven't been able to agree on a farm bill, and there have been some really partisan fights in areas where there were not partisan fights before. But on the whole, I will tell you that my experience in armed services and ag has been very positive because we do make the effort to be not so partisan in our approach and to have a broad overview. What happens when you get out on the floor with the rest of the, with all 435 of us, that tends to be pretty messy and pretty ugly. But in committee, I think the committee work goes along fairly well.
You mentioned your previous legislative experience within the Texas legislature, so you were obviously somewhat prepared for what Washington might bring you. What have you enjoyed the most about your time in Washington?
I would say that I thought I was prepared when I got here, but I wasn't prepared for the level of intensity and the intransigence and the level of partisanship. I mean, it borders on ridiculous at some point. Just the fact that you can never agree. You can never reach an agreement, and that bills don't move. I thoroughly enjoyed my time in the Texas legislature. It was a wonderful 22 years. And here, there are days that you are in awe of the opportunities to do things, but at the end, you leave with a disappointment of nothing happening. I mean, this August recess is a great example of leaving and the farm bill is not done, and many of the appropriations bills aren't done. The debt ceiling debate hasn't happened. The immigration reform isn't done. So for me, the best part isn't here in DC. The best part has been at home, where we've been able to help veterans cut through the bureaucracy of the VA, where we've helped people who weren't getting medical services get medical services, where we've helped bring different grants, whether it's airport grants or healthcare or any one of a number of things where I can make a difference on the local level. That's what keeps me here, because I've told people that really this place has reinforced for me what I always thought in the back of my mind, which is that the only part of politics that I don't like is the political part, because the political part is all there is here, and I like the policy part and the opportunity to make a difference, and that I have to go home for.
And public service is a field that is certainly known for partisanship and for playing political games and playing and being the experience in public service that you are. What motivates you to keep coming back for more?
Well, I don't like the games. I don't think it has to be that way. I don't think it should be that way. I am not about scoring points. I'm more about doing the right thing. I came to parenthood very late in life. I have an 8-year-old. I was in my 40s when my little boy was born. And I will tell you that as a result of being a parent, I have a whole new look, a whole new vision of things. And I don't want to be part of that first generation of Texans or the first generation of Americans who leaves their country worse off than our fathers and our mothers and our grandfathers and our grandmothers left it to us. And so what keeps me coming back is that I want this little boy to grow up and have the opportunity to live the American dream that I have had. I mean, I grew up washing dishes in my dad's restaurant. And to go from being a dishwasher to being a member of Congress, from a small town is a huge arc. It's a huge trajectory. And I want other kids to have that same thing. And so that keeps me here. I think that's worthwhile. But I can't deny that I am consistently frustrated by Congress's lack of ability to come. I mean, we can't agree on lunch half the time. And that's just amazingly disappointing to someone like me who is used to working with others towards a common goal. When the Democrats were in the majority in the Texas House, I was in the leadership and was a committee chair and passed bills. And when the Republicans were in the majority in the Texas House, I was in the leadership and was a committee chair and passed bills. And we all worked together towards a goal. And you don't see that here in Congress, and that's been a major disappointment.
Congressman Pete Gallego from Texas' 23rd District, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.